Just days ago, Huawei quietly crossed a staggering milestone. Over 900 million active devices are now running HarmonyOS, fully abandoned from Android's ecosystem. Reports this week show Huawei launching HarmonyOS PCs powered by its own chips and AI tools, cutting every line of Google code. What you're about to hear isn't just another tech trend. It's the opening shot of a digital Cold War happening right now. It's 2025. Huawei, once cornered by US sanctions and nearly written off by Wall Street, has now pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in tech history. 900 million users, nearly 1 in 10 people on Earth, are now on Huawei's HarmonyOS, not Android or iOS, a system entirely built in China, independent of US code and control. Think about that for a moment. This isn't just a shift in market share. It's the beginning of a new digital order, a geopolitical revolution playing out on smartphones. To understand how we got here, let's rewind to 2019. That year, the US government made a fateful decision by placing Huawei on the so-called Entity List, effectively banning American companies, including Google, from doing business with them. No more Android licenses, no more access to the Play Store, Gmail, YouTube, and Google Maps all gone from future Huawei devices. The reason? National security concerns, accusations of espionage, influence, and hidden backdoors, which Huawei has always denied, and to this day, no definitive public evidence has emerged. But it didn't matter. The sanctions came fast, and the consequences were immediate. Huawei's global smartphone business was gutted almost overnight. Their market share collapsed, and tech analysts wrote their obituaries. But they missed something crucial. Huawei wasn't preparing to surrender. They were preparing to rebuild and fight back. What began as a scramble for survival quickly turned into a national mission in China, where Huawei became more than a company. It became a symbol of resilience, technological sovereignty, and breaking free from Silicon Valley's grip. Within months, Huawei accelerated its in-house software development, leading to the birth of HarmonyOS, whose early versions still relied on Android's open-source foundation, but whose long game was clear: complete independence. And now, in 2025, they've delivered on that vision. HarmonyOS NEXT, launched alongside the Mate 70, marks the full decoupling. No Android code, no Google infrastructure, a clean break, and a clean slate built not just for phones but for tablets, cars, smart TVs, and IoT devices. Huawei isn't just building an operating system. They're building an ecosystem, a digital fortress that spans hardware, software, chips, cloud, and now AI. At the heart of this transformation is a broader movement inside China focused on the idea of or independent and controllable. The belief that in a world of growing tension, no nation, especially one as large and targeted as China, should depend on foreign systems for its digital backbone. This isn't just a technical argument. It's a strategic doctrine. To Beijing, technology is now national security. The operating system you use isn't just software, it's a vector of influence, surveillance, and control. HarmonyOS isn't just a product. It's a declaration of sovereignty. Yes, the vast majority of HarmonyOS users are inside China, but Huawei's reach extends far beyond its borders, having spent billions building telecom networks in Southeast Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East, selling affordable smartphones, developing local talent, and signing deals where Western giants hesitated. In many of these regions, Google services were limited, unreliable, or geopolitically unwelcome. So Huawei steps in with the full package: hardware, OS, app gallery, Huawei Cloud, and now an expanding suite of on-device AI. It's not just selling tech, it's selling autonomy. For the global South, this is a game changer, as countries long dependent on Western infrastructure. Licensing fees, corporate restrictions, and political strings attached are offered a different model from Huawei: cheaper, localized, and aligned with national interests. It's no longer just about having a choice. It's about not being forced into one. Critics in Washington call it digital authoritarianism. They warn of surveillance and data misuse. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The same critiques have been made about Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple. In the 21st century, there is no neutral platform. Every OS has a bias toward the interests of its creators. So the question becomes whether you want your data controlled by your own government or by someone else's. For many countries, the answer is obvious. Sovereignty trumps ideology, and Huawei is enabling that shift, not with speeches, but with servers. A strong OS isn't just about users. It's about developers, and Huawei knows that. They're pumping billions into developer incentives, ecosystem funds, training centers, and SDKs optimized for HarmonyOS. App ecosystems are diverging and APIs are fragmenting. So for developers in the global south, the decision isn't political. It's practical. Follow the money, follow the reach, and increasingly both are tilting east. HarmonyOS is no longer a Chinese platform. It's becoming a post-American platform. We are entering a world where Android and iOS are no longer the only operating systems that matter, as a third pole has emerged, one backed by a national superpower, built from the ground up, and now commanding nearly 1 billion users. This is no longer just about market share. It's about architecture, as we could soon see two global internets. One US-centric, shaped by open markets and corporate lobbying, and the other China-centric, shaped by state strategy and integrated design. But perhaps this split isn't a breakdown, but a balancing act, a correction to a tech order that for too long has been unipolar, exclusionary, and dominated by Silicon Valley values. While the West obsesses over generative AI and crypto cycles, Huawei is quietly leading the next great leap, 6G. 6G isn't just faster 5G. It's a new paradigm. Ultra-low latency, AI-native infrastructure, and terabit-level speeds enabling real-time cloud brains, remote surgery, immersive AR, and autonomous drone swarms. And Huawei isn't just participating. It's leading, holding over 20% of global 6G patents, proposing new air interface models, and launching chipsets like the Kirin 9010 and Ascend 910C, all without US fabs, ASML EUV tools, or ARM licensing. Huawei's supply chain was cut, and they responded by building their own. This isn't just technological resilience. It's an assertion of strategic independence. Make no mistake, 6G won't just connect cities. It will connect armies, factories, and ideologies, and whoever controls 6G won't just shape markets. They'll shape geopolitics. Washington is worried, but not alone. As Europe is conflicted, India is watching closely and Japan is hedging its bets, forcing America's allies to choose between aligning fully with the US and risking autonomy, or engaging with alternatives and risking political blowback. Even traditional allies are realizing that in the age of digital power, loyalty has limits. For Google, this is more than a PR hit. It's a loss of leverage. Android was supposed to be untouchable as the default OS for the planet, but it turns out that when you cut off a company from your ecosystem, you don't destroy it. You may force it to innovate. And innovation under pressure is powerful. It's focused and personal. Huawei's users didn't just leave Android. They embraced something bigger. The belief that innovation doesn't have to come from Silicon Valley, that open source doesn't mean open control, and that technological greatness can be homegrown. So what does all this mean for you, the user? If you're outside China, you probably still use Android or iOS, and maybe you've never touched a Huawei device. But the shift is happening anyway as developers are starting to pay attention to HarmonyOS. Governments are rethinking their dependencies, and tech companies are recalibrating their strategies. You may soon be forced to choose, not just between brands, but between systems of control. This is no longer just about apps. It's about alignment. And here's the bigger picture. For decades, American tech companies served as the nervous system of globalization, shaping how the internet worked, what apps were allowed, and even how profits were split. But that era is ending. The rules are being rewritten, not in California, but in Shenzhen. The real disruption isn't in the code, it's in the control. If one company in Shenzhen can spark this much global change under pressure, imagine what happens when others follow. The future of tech is no longer made in one lab, written in one language, or run on one platform. So, would you ditch Android for HarmonyOS? Do you trust Google more than Huawei, or vice versa? And when the digital world splits, which side will you be on? Leave your thoughts below, because in this new tech Cold War, your choice isn't just personal, it's political.